It's Monday. Today we're going to be looking at two maps about the Crusades. And on those maps, you're going to see different routes that the Crusaders took on their adventures. And we're going to be talking about trade routes and boundaries and maps. And did you know the name of a map maker is a cartographer?
Hiya. I was kind of focused on what would I say if you say hello or how am I doing today, and you kind of caught me.
I
But
just said, do you know that the name of a map maker is a
yeah,
cartographer?
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. But if you'd be, because that was the question, right? But if you would ask me how am I doing, I'd say like I'm medium well, or I'm high quality, or I am well enough to chat with you if you wish to. I've prepared so many answers, and you, the first time in ages, you didn't ask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, medium well is how some people like their steaks. Medium well, medium rare.
yeah. But that's not the point. Point is that you always said hello, and I felt uncomfortable. And the first time ever I prepared, you didn't ask. Isn't that a pity?
Yes,
As for
it
the
is.
cartographers,
Yeah.
yeah, but the sound, how it sounds? Can you hear me okay? Is it sound good?
Yes, it's the sound. The sound sounds swell.
Because
So if you're
last
not
time you
sure,
said someone throwing boulders at me.
yeah, because that was then, but this is now. But
Mm,
the thing
right, I like
is,
that. I'll use it.
that was then and this is now.
Hmm.
Well, one of the things that's so interesting about maps is, we see them in books as we're school children growing up, and sometimes we see them in antique shops, or sometimes I like to go to, there's a beautiful store in Houston that has all of these maps and globes and all this stuff from ancient times. The thing that's so interesting is that some of these maps that come to us now in the 21st century were actually drawn by a real person. And, there are maps that were made many, many, many years ago. And one of the most famous maps is in the British Museum, and it is a map of the world. I know that you've been to London, but did you go to the British Museum?
I'm a little bit slow, so I just kind of answered the first question you asked me about cartographers, which is how the men who make the map are called. Uh, Yeah, I would love to be maybe one day to be a cartographer because I think lots of maps we have today are faked or been tampered with. But then I should have familiarized myself with geography, and geography would have been our problem with me because in order to be a cartographer, you have to know the art of making maps, and geography is basically what it stands upon.
Well, hang on a
Um,
second. Only thing I think you need is a pen and some paper. I don't think you need
nah.
anything.
No, no, you have to be like perfect geographer. You know
No, wait a
geography,
minute. There's
you have a
no such
geography
thing as
teacher.
just a second. A map is only a physical representation from one person's point of view. For example, if I said to two or three of my friends, David Anton, or do I have any other friends? There's some people that I know. If I said, let's draw a map of Texas, well, I might draw Texas when it was part of Mexico and it was called Tejas, Tejas. So the Tex-Mex word Tejanos are people that have mixed blood of the indigenous people, the Indios, and the Texans that came there. So if I was going to draw a map of Texas, I might draw Texas from the point of view of it when it was a republic, or someone else might draw a very detailed map with lots of mountains, because I know David Anton has been out to Palo Duro Canyon, which is a beautiful place to go hiking out in West Texas in Big Bend Park. So maps are always from the point of view of the map maker, and there's no absolute reality. How does that make you feel?
I would like to disagree, okay, because I think that geography, because I had a geography teacher in school, maybe it left an imprint on me. Like I was a kid basically, like 15 or 16 years old. Is that okay if I recall just a little bit, expand my childhood? Because
any boy, man who's 15-year-old who has a woman geography teacher
yeah.
has lost his mind, because boys at 15 years old are full of hormones. They are not even able to think correctly. But go ahead, just go ahead and try.
No, what I was gonna say was that I think cartography jobs are really taken over by geography teachers. And anyway, if they're not geography teachers, you can expect that you will be competing with people with bachelor's or graduate degrees in the topic. I don't know. So that's why I said you had to be geography qualified or competent, at least friendly, which I'm not.
Well, that's
for
why
the
you're
British Museum.
Yeah, you're in therapy, so all things are possible. Almost all.
I couldn't keep it in any longer.
What?
No, I mean about British Museum. About British Museum, I really did visit it because I'm kind of slow. I go step by step because first I had to answer, like I prepared to answer a greeting which you didn't say, so that's why I'm a step behind you. But anyway, I'm catching up with you. So yeah, I was in London. I was, and I'd seen the museum and a couple of other ones. I think I don't remember. And it had a big influence on me. And my love of history. I remember Egyptian sarcophags and mummies, and I don't know. I loved it. I loved it. Why did you ask me?
It's real. I love museums too. When I was about maybe 15 or 16, I was living in Frankfurt, Germany, and I had the opportunity to go on a bus from Frankfurt to Paris over Easter. And my mother just gave me some money. She had no idea where we're staying. She had no idea what was happening. I just took my little sister, got on this bus that was chartered for taking a bunch of people to Paris. Off I went to Paris. And then my sister, who's 2 years younger than me, she was just interested in finding some French boys to roll around on the grass with. And my goal was to get to the Louvre and see the Egyptian collection, because I was writing my, I think it was my junior or my senior paper on Egyptian art and mythology. So when I was in high school, I was very fascinated by the Egyptians and their gods and their art. So it just shows to show when you go to visit a different city, there's different points of view. The only thing my sister wanted to do was just hurry to the Tuileries garden to find some guys to make out with on a blanket.
Yeah. Also, I think it's a great place to. I know what you mean. I know what you did here. Anyway, it's a great place to visit. When I was there, it's not always open last time, 20 years ago. I probably opened it by now. And I remember that the exhibits they had, they explained where the item came from, who ruled in the area at the time. Egypt particularly was interesting to me. Who owned that before and later, and everybody had some kind of discussion between each other.
Back to the
I don't remember any
idea. Back to the idea of some of our subscribers. I kind of fancy this idea that some of our subscribers and you or I will meet up someday. So Michael in Albuquerque is kind of waiting for us to show up. I'm thinking we should go kidnap, not really kidnap, but get Tony Carnes to the British Museum. He probably already has a membership and can let us get in free. He probably has a 2-for-1 membership, and you guys can go in and I'll just sneak in the side door. We could go to the British Museum and walk around with Tony Carnes. So I like the idea of meeting up with some of our subscribers. I will mention that a couple of our subscribers have unsubscribed, but I'm not going to tell you why. But back to the idea of the qualifications of a geography teacher. Well, once I was teaching at this Catholic school in Houston called St. Pius X, and I was hired because I could teach a lot of different things. And it was a high school. It was boys and girls. And then Sister Donna was a Dominican sister, a nun, teaching order. And she had given me my schedule, and I was preparing my classes over the summer. And I thought I was going to be teaching these 4 or 5 classes. And I go in like a week before school, and she says, oh, by the way, the person who was teaching geography decided to go to a different school, so you're now teaching geography. I said, I'm teaching geography. I don't know anything about geography. She goes, well, just make up some stuff. So, no, she knew I had traveled, and she knew I was kind of creative. So I taught one semester of geography, and what we did is we colored maps, and then I signed up for some field trips where we left the campus and went around into the city and visited some museums that had maps on display. And, technically speaking, I had a teaching certificate and I had been teaching at the school, but was I or was I not a geography teacher?
Yeah, I think it's a great museum. And visiting it was a highlight of one of my
of your
trips
life.
to London. But with regard to if were you or were you not a geography teacher, can I say I cannot confirm or deny, or what's the expression there? I don't remember.
I can neither confirm nor deny it. No, I mean, what's one of the great things about maps is, some maps are drawn with lines, and some of them have the geographic features. So sometimes they'll have little symbols that represent mountains. And we have talked before about the United States. There's the Appalachian Mountains that run vertically from Canada, down into the south. And then we have the Rocky Mountains to the west that go all the way up and then down into, the southern, western states. But I like the maps that have those little, I love to read the little it's called the legend of what's in the map. And if we look at our cover shot, you see 2 maps, and those are of the Crusades. And supposedly the Crusades were launched to regain the Holy Land for the Christians and take it away from the Muslim conquerors. So that's just, without even looking it up, that's what I remember the purpose of the Crusades were. And, a lot of it was done on horseback. The Crusades were a bunch of guys on horses going off and doing stuff, and then getting on ships and going over mountains and whooping up on people. What do you find interesting about our cover shot? There's little arrows and there's all kinds of stuff.
I don't know much about Crusades, and when you say Crusaders and Crusades, I'm trying to recall which of it they taught me in school. But in the map, I see that states. I think there's a big difference between the Crusades or Crusaders and the Crusader states.
Well, for example, on the the western coast of Turkey, you'll see the Aegean Sea, which connects to to Greece. So there's Greece, Aegean Sea, then there's Turkey. And in the town of Bodrum, Bodrum, I own some houses on the Aegean coast of Turkey. And the ancient name for Bodrum was Halikarnassus, and there is a Crusaders' castle there. So the Crusaders came to that area to defend the land and to hold it. So I have some interesting memories about the Crusaders' castle. Have you ever been inside of a castle?
And Scottish ones maybe, but what used to be a castle when I was there, it was just the remains. But you mentioned the JNC, and I think, well, that's a nice place. Also, I haven't been there ever. Even, you probably would want to have some kind of a geopolitical analysis because we have maps to discuss. But you've been there. How do you feel about the GNC?
I don't want to talk about it. So just looking at our cover shot, we see that the top one is the Crusades from 1096 through 1192. That was the first crusade. And it starts in, see that big giant pink area? That was called the Holy Roman Empire. So that was run, all that pink area was, run or managed by the Roman Empire. And you can see that they're going all over the place. They go down into Naples, and then they go over to Syria. Then they cut back up to Constantinople. So on our cover shot, you see that. And the Holy Roman Empire extends all the way to the west to the upper part of Spain. Now, if we look at the lower map shows it's called the Later Crusade. So the Later Crusade goes from 1217 to 1270. And in kind of purple, that's considered to be Muslim territory. The pink area is considered to be Latin Christian territory. The yellow area is considered to be Greek Christian. The red area is Armenian Christian. And so all these empires, like, Frederick the Great is sending out crusaders, and the Armenians are sending out crusaders, and Saint Louis is sending out crusaders. So there's all these people out there fighting for land and territory. And, I think the history of the world is a lot about fighting and grabbing stuff, and sticking flags in land, or going to the moon and sticking a flag there.
So you basically what you were saying is that crusaders were bad people.
No, they're great people. They're out to conquer for their king. Their king gives them a boat. They give them a horse. They give them food. They give them money. They give them women, whatever they want. Just go get some more land for Rome. Go get some more land. I love to travel. I love to see new places. I don't think that conquering and stealing things is bad. Whoever's strongest wins. That's the way of the world.
Well, okay.
You can see I'm starting to make you sad.
No. I just do you know maybe you've watched it? There's a movie called I forgot how it's called, but it's about crusaders. Who was it? Saladin was Saladin. Saladin was. Do you know this name, Saladin? He was a Muslim ruler, I think, at the time of the Crusade, very famous.
Yes, like, for example, a lot of people know the Disney Aladdin, but actually the real Arabic name is Al-Adin, which means son of Adin. So Saladin or Mejuhaddin, Adin, all these Adin folks are really famous. Like in Russia, they have what's the word that means you're the son of somebody?
Son of somebody?
No, like in Russian, there's a term that. Okay, skip that. Back to the Muslim.
No, I remembered the name of the movie that was called Kingdom of Heaven. I watched it like 20 20 years ago, maybe. I loved it a lot. That's maybe you've come across it one day, and I strongly recommend you to see it. But yeah, that's why I mentioned Salah ad-Din. He was a good guy in it, actually.
Well, all
And,
these people are fighting for land, and like right now, there are people all over the world that are traveling. They've been displaced from Latin America. They're traveling up into Mexico. They're trying to get into Texas. There's people on the border of the United States with Canada that are trying to get up into Canada, or there's people in Europe that are, Algerians that have come to France several generations ago, and now they're angry because of economic problems. So the idea of just a struggle for survival is something very, contemporary. I'm going to be struggling a little bit later because I have to go out into the city, and I'm just going to be struggling to keep cool because it's so hot. And, when you're in therapy, the idea is just kind of lay your burden down and for a little while, just stop struggling. Have you been struggling today at work?
yeah, but I sorted it out. Because we need struggle, right? But still, I can't stop thinking of that movie. If you excuse me, that's Kingdom of Heaven.
Well, tell us a little bit about it. Just briefly tell us some of the things you remember, because I don't think I've seen it. Maybe some of our subscribers. Kingdom of Heaven?
Yeah, it's called Kingdom of Heaven. It's just a story of the Crusades. I couldn't even. I don't know how to start this.
Well, the Kingdom of Heaven was produced in 2005. It's R-rated, so some children should not watch it. It's an adventure war story that is 2 hours and 24 minutes long. Still in grief over his wife's sudden death, the village blacksmith, Balian, played by Orlando Bloom, joins his estranged father, Baron Godfrey, played by Liam Neeson, as a crusader on the road to Jerusalem. So they're going to the holy city of Jerusalem. After a perilous journey to the holy city, the valiant young man enters the retinue of King Baldwin IV. So it's an adventure story. It looks really interesting. I think I'm going to watch it. I have a friend who's got low back pain, and I'm going to tell him to watch it. It looks like a really good film to watch. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if you'll like it, but definitely when you start to recapture the story, it was like I'm watching it again. Anyway, let's talk about maps, which
we are talking about maps. We're talking about the Crusades.
I don't know how we can jump to the subject of Crusades because the maps we have in front of us, they're not.
Yes, the map that is on our cover shot that you are going to use when you produce the video is of the First Crusade and the Second Crusade. So that's what we decided. But there are different maps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's different maps from around the world, but what we're going to use is we're going to use that one. There's also other maps of the world where the world is depicted as flat, or the world is depicted as round, or the world is depicted as having some unknown area. So when Christopher Columbus sailed off, he thought he was going to try to find India because he kind of knew that India sort of existed, and he was trying to find these cities of gold, but he didn't even hit he didn't even hit the continent of the United States. He just hit, some islands, and he told his king and queen, Ferdinand and Isabella, well, I'm not really sure what I found, but there's a lot of people here. We could start selling people. We could do like a slave trade. And the queen said, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Indians don't even have souls. But maybe Indians do have souls. Maybe it would be wrong. So Christopher Columbus set out sponsored by his king and queen, Ferdinand and Isabella, to go find some more land. The French were sending people out, the Brits were sending people out. So when Christopher Columbus, hit land, he claimed it for Spain, and he stuck his flag and said, "This is for Spain." And then he was going around looking for gold, but he didn't find any gold.
No, I can feel for him.
You know,
because that's what I do on a daily basis. I'm putting my flag here. I'm stepping my anyway, I don't remember the expression again. Put my feet, or I don't know. Anyway, I'm like trying to find any gold, and there isn't any. I feel myself like Christopher Columbus, or who that you just mentioned.
Yeah, or like you go out and you think like, I'm gonna have a really great lunch, and you get out to the lunch place that's not really so great, and your friends say, "How was it?" And you just make up a lie and say like, "Oh, it's really awesome," or like, I'm supposed to go pick up somebody who hurt his back to return a car to someplace, and the person's going to say, "Well, what were you doing? Why are you late?" I'll say, I was recording an episode about the Crusades and maps with my Russian friend. And then he's going to say, "You mean that imaginary guy?" I go, "Yeah, that's him." So I think we all kind of launch out every day with some ideas, even if our idea is just to stay at home. We're trying to do something like, fold clothes or cook something or do the wash or make a meal or listen to some music or do some drawing or write. But, we're not always so successful. But the point is we just got to keep trying, just keep on keeping on, like Sisyphus, rolling his rock up the hill.
You made me wondering about the books about Crusades. I'm sure there are books that have a kind of neutral viewpoint that I don't know, because the Crusades, they've been covered with so many myths and lies, probably, or built with lies around both sides. And I'd like to know if there is such a book, or maybe buy a book about short history of the Crusades.
Well, see, every book is written by an author, and the author, there's no such thing as an objective author, because we are all
but there should be some kind of a primary sources.
Primary sources are a bunch of maps or oral interviews. So if I'm looking at maps, I'm going to interpret it one way. I'm going to interpret some maps as, life is about the acquisition of land and taking over weaker people. So I would write my book about the Crusades, about who the conquerors were. History is told by the conquerors, not the victims, not the losers. History is not written by the losers. No one gives a F about the losers. They only care about the conquerors. They care about czars and kings and emperors and sultans and Joan of Arc.
Sitting here and looking at your maps, the thumbnail you sent me with maps on it, I'm trying to recollect the knowledge they dropped on me in school, and for as far as I know, the Crusades were just some sort of religious wars, which took place like for 200 years, maybe 300 years, right? And Christians wanted to invade.
Religion's always about getting more land and getting more gold to decorate the churches and decorate the palaces of the popes and the kings.
No, I'm not debating this. I'm not debating. I'm trying to remember who led the Crusades, because if you're Crusaders, you are supposed to wear that beautiful white cloak with the red cross.
Well, there's many Crusaders. As you see on our map, there's French Crusades, there's Holy Roman Empire Crusades, there's German Crusades. All of these different crusading adventures,
which means
were led by different people. So if you look at the map that we are showing as our cover shot, you're going to see different crusades led by different people. So bringing it up today to 2023, who owns the Holy Land? Well, the Holy Land is still a battleground. And if you go to the supposed, tomb or the birth of Jesus, like they have it divided up. The Muslims can put soldiers there part of the day, Christians can put soldiers there part of the day, and the Jewish people can put soldiers there for part of the day. So some of the most holy places of the religions are still being guarded by soldiers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm talking about what took place 1,000 years ago, because when they started the first crusade, they wanted to help the Byzantine. Is that how you say it in English? Byzantine Empire? Because Muslims took over Turks, I think maybe they took over part of it, or maybe had it under attack. And then Crusaders captured Jerusalem, and then Muslims quickly, I think they took it back. Maybe Turks again, or Arabs, and controlled it for 300 years, right? I mean,
it's an ongoing battle back and forth about who's gonna own it, and whoever tells the stories, people who tell the stories will tell the story from their point of view of them being the good guys.
Mm-hmm. Those Knights Templar, I read a book about them. Don't even remember who the author was. It was so long time ago. Knights Templar and Teutonic Knights. When I was a kid, we played this, because you probably played Cowboys and I don't know who else, Indians, but we played Knights and don't remember what we played it, but Teutonic Knights definitely were enemies. And at the time they wanted to probably take over the Holy Land, as they call it, and protect some kind of Christians, pilgrims, I don't know, traveling to it. Right?
I'm now going down the stairs. I'm going next to some bulldozers where they've taken over some land. It used to be a really nice bar. Now they're bulldozed it, and they're going to build up an 8-story high-rise. I'm going to be getting in my car, which is super, super hot, going into battle. The battle is just trying not to pass out today. What are some of your battles for today?
Well, I tried not to sleep at the wheel because I kind of had to travel and didn't get much sleep. So that was my battle number one. And then when I get home, I try to put myself in sleep. But as luck would have it, when you have time to sleep, you can't sleep. So I had some whiskey, and then I mixed it with bourbon, and sleep had come finally. But anyway, I thought that, when I was in London, lots of excavation because it's historical place.
You hear my car?
You're at the wheel?
What?
What are you doing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what are you, like, are you safe? Are you being attacked from behind by the bulldozer driver?
No, what I'm doing is I'm just, making our episodes more adventuresome. Sometimes you speak from tunnels. Sometimes I'm in an electrical storm. And now, oh my God, what is that person? I almost ran over this girl in a backpack. I'm just in my car, and I have a small bell.
Yeah, but what did you say the bulldozer is doing? They're excavating some kind of a mass grave for containing hundreds of crusaders, or what?
I'm saying next to my apartment complex, there is a fence. The fence is a boundary. How absolute is that boundary? It's not absolute at all, because the property line for the property next door, our apartment complex was incorrectly over the property line. So they tore down the fence, tore down the mailboxes, repositioned the property line. They've repositioned the telephone poles because we were over the property line. So right now, I'm in my car exiting my apartment complex, and they are building an 8-story mid-rise next to my apartment complex. And there's bulldozers, there's little men in hats. It does look like a mass grave. They start really early in the morning when it's dark, and they start excavating and digging stuff. I don't even know what they're digging. But, you know,
Okay. Are you
we hope that
safe now?
our subscribers are safe. What?
Is that not good time to?
Everything is a good time. The time is now. I'm being very safe. Now I'm opening a steel gate. If I approach the gate, it now opens. The gate is opening, open sesame, and I'm going to be entering a street with a lot of signs that say do not turn left. So, you know, these signs that we see, it means do not do this, do not do that. And the Crusaders had to go through a lot of that stuff, like, you know, do not take the Holy Land, or, you know, don't do this. But, you know, people just ignore.
Do you have what are you like? Do you have any rights if the police officer stops you on street right now talking to me?
Rights? The police officers don't have time for me. They're busy with drug dealers.
No, but if they stop you, what are your rights? Because maybe they ask you a few questions.
First of all, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm in my car and I'm making a phone call, and I'm just turned around. Now I'm going to go through a neighborhood, and I'm not drinking. I don't have any drugs on me.
Do you, being a woman, do you have a fear for male police officer, which might have stopped you?
I'm not afraid of anybody.
You're not afraid, okay.
I'm not afraid, especially male police officers. You just flirt with them like, hi, guys. Thank you for your service, and just pretend to be dumb.
But what if...
I mean, I go into this convenience store to get gas sometimes, and they have, you know, policemen that are going in there. I go, oh, wow, you're getting like a nice cold drink. Well, y'all have a great day. Just smile, walk away. If you're smiling in Dallas, it's great. You can get through a lot of stuff to smile.
But what if you are stopped by a alone but not lonely police officer in plain clothes? Would that be usual? Single plainclothes police officer.
Dallas PD, DPD is they go 2 by 2. So 2 police officers.
Would they be seeking to arrest you?
Two police officers on horse, 2 police officers on car. So.
Okay.
Samantha, is it being recorded?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to temporarily go, and I have to go do something. So we're temporarily going to stop the call.
Okay, do you want me to stop?
Okay, wait a minute. No. I would like for you to think of a way to wrap up the episode.
Okay.
And
that's okay. Wrap it up.
No, you're wrapping it up.
Okay, we're wrapping up this episode because we're being stopped by the police officer in plainclothes. He's alone.
No. I'm 9 minutes late to something. I'm in trouble. Now we can keep talking now. No, it's not a police officer. I'm supposed to pick up somebody 9 minutes ago, and that person said be there at 9:20. It's now 9:29. So, you know, I just told a lie, and I didn't tell a lie. I said I'm on my way, which is true. Okay, we can keep talking because I still have like about 7 minutes to drive. So anyhow, you were saying, would I be afraid of a plainclothes police officer? Well, if it was plainclothes, I wouldn't. He'd just be like another person walking around. I wouldn't be afraid of him. I wouldn't be afraid of him in his uniform.
No, the sound, like the line is breaking up. You're breaking up. I can hardly hear you. Maybe we should just call each other a little bit later and discuss this again.
That sounds good. And where's my bell?
Yeah, ring it.
Okay, wait a minute. I have a little bit different bell.
Hey, be careful, because I'm afraid.
Okay, you go to sleep, and I will talk to you later.
Okay, end of the episode.
Bye.
Stay safe.